Hi, my name is Miguel, and today I want to show you how to integrate Chainloop with Dependency-Track. When you add an existing CI pipeline, an existing workflow to Chainloop, what you will get is all the attestation and artifacts, including software bill of materials, stored by default in your OCI registry. And what I want to show you today is how you can also enable continuous analysis of those SBOMs by bringing your own dependency track instance and connecting it to the Chainloop control plane. So that way, any new CycloneDX SBOM file that comes to the control plane as part of an attestation is also sent there. And the integration has two main stages. The first one is connecting your instance to the control plane. And the second one is attaching your different workflows to that instance. So I have this dependency track instance running. And as I said, the first step will be to connect this instance to the Chainloop control plane. And the way that you do it is using the Chainloop CLI, which I have installed, have downloaded. And what you will do is do Chainloop config integration add dependency track. And the first parameter is the instance URL. In our case, is dependency-track.chainloop.dev. And there is an additional flag that basically enables the auto creation of project at attachment time. I'm going to show you that later. Let's try. And now we need to provide an API token. This is an API token for dependency track. And the way you create it is you go to admin, access management, teams. We're going to create a new team called Chainloop demo. And in here, we need a set of permissions. The first one is BOM upload, because we're going to be uploading the SBOMs. The second one will be view portfolio, because we want Chainloop to verify that the project where we want to send the SBOM to exists. And the third one, which is optional, is project creation upload, which is automatically create projects. In our case, we want this. So now we copy the API key, and there we go. Now we have our dependency track instance connected to Chainloop. So now to the second stage. The second stage is to attach this instance to existing workflows. So let's take a look at our workflows. We have already two workflows connected to the control plane. One that is running in GitLab, the other one is running in GitHub. Both of them are actually receiving SBOMs already. So this is describing a run of one of those workflows. And as you can see, we have a set of materials receiving already, and one of them is a CycloneDX SBOM in JSON format, which, as I mentioned before, by default, it will be stored in your OCI registry so that you can audit it. And something that you can do out of the box is to download it. You can do Chainloop artifact download and pass the content.js of the file. And as you can see, it's downloading the CycloneDX JSON file. So now we can actually verify that it's a CycloneDX file. So good, this is good. But we also want to send it to our new dependency track instance, right? So the way that you do it is by attaching it. And to attach these workflows to the integration, we need two things. We need the integration ID and the workflow ID. So let me find the integration ID. Okay, so we have everything here now. So we can start attaching. We're gonna attach the first one. And we do Chainloop, workflow, integration, attach, dependency track. And here we need to pass the integration ID and the workflow ID. We're gonna start with this one. And now we need to provide either a project ID, an existing project ID, or a project name. Let's start with the project name, my app 1. Okay, so I have now attach this instance to a very specific project called my app1. So technically we're done now. There is nothing else we need to do. When a new release, when a new attestation of this workflow comes, the SBOM will be sent to dependency track as well. But for demo purposes and to demo the end-to-end, I'm gonna trigger a new build. And the way I'm doing this is going to the repository and tagging a new release. Again, this is not something that you will need to do. This is something that I'm doing just to demonstrate the end-to-end. Okay, so this is gonna take a little bit. Let's do the other integration. And the other integration that we're gonna do is we're gonna connect this other workflow to the same instance. So what we need to do is change the workflow ID. Here, I just changed the workflow ID. But in this case, let's actually use an existing project. But to do that, I need to create a project. So I'm here in my dependency track instance, my app2 device, and I'm gonna copy the ID. So I paste it, and there we go. Now I have two attachments for the same instance. Now I have two attachments for the same instance, one of them sending it to an existing project, the other one sending it to a new project called my app1. Let me trigger the build for this other repository as well. And again, this is gonna take a little bit. But in the meantime, you might be wondering, how does Chainloop know that from all the data that it receives, all the metadata, the attestation, and the different artifacts, which one is a CycloneDX SBOM file, and how to send it? And the answer to that is because we use something called workflow contracts, and the integration between a workflow and the control plane is done by that contract, which at the end of the day, what it does is to define, to declare, and to enforce what kind of materials the attestation should contain. And one of them, in our case, is a CycloneDX JSON format file. So if we take a look at one of our contracts, we have two contracts, one of them for each. And if I describe one of those, you will see that in fact, it has a required SBOM artifact of type CycloneDX JSON. So that's a way when a new attestation comes to the control plane, we check it against the contract and then send this SBOM file to any integration that is attached to it. Let's see if we have finished. And these are different runs of the two workflows. And in fact, yes, we have finished. So if we go to our dependency track instance, what we should expect is this. We have my app1 project, which was created automatically, has sent an SBOM automatically. And the same way with my app2. If we go inside, we'll see that it has different components declaring the SBOM. So let's recap now. We have two workflows that are sending automatically SBOMs to my dependency track instance. But something I would like to highlight is the reason why I believe that Chainloop and this pattern is one of the best ways to integrate, to make these kind of integrations. And it is the fact that the development side and the operation side are completely decoupled. And what I mean by that is, if you remember my demo, I didn't make any change on the CI thing, on the CI side. And that means that you don't need to share credentials, you don't need to share API tokens, you don't need to do specific implementations to talk to dependency track, you don't need to even make the dependency track instance reachable from the CI, which is useful for VPN scenarios. What you just needed to do, what these teams just needed to do, was to implement, be compliant with a contract that required them to send an SBOM. And they did it once in the past, and that's enough. And that's enough for our operation teams to be able to now mix and match and play adding new instances and attachments, so on and so forth. And what's even better is the fact that even though it is the couple, as I mentioned in the middle, there is this contract. And that means that this integration is now enforced. So you will not have more integration that stop working and you didn't notice. You will notice because no attestation will be received. So that's everything I got for you today. Give it a try. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, please reach out. Thank you for your time.